Hey, I guess I should look at me. I don't have any makeup. I'm really tired. I don't know if I'm going to keep going with this. I've been driving and just all over the place in the where I live. I wonder if I want to close that curtain. Um, all right. Good day. I had a good day. First off, um, so if you didn't get exited, and we're no longer saying you're fired because Trump and all of that and blah, and it's ugly and it's really so last century. So moving into this new century, when you're no longer employed with somebody, you've just been exited from employment. I don't know if that'll catch on or not, but I think it will, because that's what it feels like you've just been exited for whatever reason. So here are two reasons. I talked to someone today who said they were exited from their employment because they just didn't vibe. Yeah, they just weren't vibing. I mean, it's much nicer to hear you're just not a good fit and be like, yeah, no, I'm not. Then like we're just not vibing with you. But that's one story. The other story I heard was this one about the clickety clacker. So anybody who's been employed in the last 25 years knows the story of the clickety clacker. And I haven't like pre-written this or anything. So this is just me like raw, authentic, telling you about the clickety clacker. And you've probably had the clickety clacker. Okay, so this is the story. I heard it like 2 days ago. There's this organization, and one of the departments has always gotten or for the last 5 years anyway, best department of the organization, best department, best department, best department. The manager of that best department moves on, right? They get a promotion, they find another job, something happens, and they move on. And so now there needs to be a new manager for that department. And so, of course, there's somebody there who has worked there for a significant number of years. This story is going to sound so familiar. A significant amount of years, and they're going to apply, and they apply, but they don't get the job. And the reason why they don't get the job is because they get along too well with their coworkers. So sure enough, it's the day for the new manager to come in, and the new manager walks in. She's got the high heels on, and she's dressed to the nines, and she's got it going on, and she's clickety clacking, with her heels all over the organization, everywhere. And she finally gets to the department, and they're already like, who's that? Who's that? Right? She clickety clacks, right? The clickety clacker. She clickety clacks into the department. And one of the first things she says in this department that's been named Department of the Year for 5 years in a row, she says, I know there's something wrong here, and I'm going to find it. Really? That's Mean Girls isn't allowed anymore. Like, no, if we're not cooperating, if we're not collaborating, if we're not reasonable and rational, we're like, so she says this to the whole department. And she specifically says to this person who had applied for the job, I know you applied for the job, and I'm going to find a reason to fire you within the next year. Clickety clack, clickety clack, clickety clack. I know we've had this supervisor, right? We've all had this supervisor where we work great together, we have great collaboration, great communication, and that supervisor moves on, and we get a new supervisor, a clickety clacker, and all of a sudden we get the worst performance reviews we've ever had. I know I'm not alone in this story. We're labeled the worst employee when just like months earlier, we were the best employee and received the best performance reviews we could possibly receive. And just because we have a new supervisor now who doesn't like us, who feels threatened by us, who has their own issues that they lay on us, we are now responsible for what they, their behavior and how. My cat just showed up. What's up? Anyway, so the clickety clacker. Okay, so what happens to the clickety clacker, right? This is what happens to the clickety clacker. Within that year, the person who she said she was going to find something to fire her about within a year, she started her own business, and that business thrived and continues to thrive. And that's what happened. So what happened to the department that for 5 years was getting awarded best department of the company, of the whole organization? Well, they had a 90% turnover, because clickety clackers can't work with anyone, and people will not work with that. We will not be disrespected. We will not be threatened or intimidated. It's just not, no, that's not the way it needs to be in 2025 in a reasonable, rational, civil society. Okay. So 90% like turnover. And so she goes in to her boss, she's going to resign because nobody here knows how to work and nobody will work and blah, blah, blah. She turns in a resignation letter, goes home, and 2 days later she thinks about it and goes back and tries to get her resignation letter back. And they're like, no, we're going to go ahead and let you go. And again, that kind of follows her because where she goes, then also her behavior goes, the clickety clacker. And again, she goes and causes havoc at a culture at another organization. And that's what she did in this one as well. She created havoc in that organization. Okay, that's the two stories or the two things I think. Let me think. Oh, 2025. This one's real because I'll tell you what, like the number of people I've talked to just over the year, over the last, what is this, September, 8 months, the number of people who have been exited from their employment is just, everybody, right? Like, I'm like, hey, I got exited. Yeah, I did too. Hey, I got exited. Yeah, I did too. So if you didn't get exited in 2025, you are not one of the cool kids because all the cool kids got exited in 2025. That's my life. And it's good to be here and to just get this out. Thank you. And I'll try to go live again. And check out my podcast, please. I've got a couple of them. Thank you.